Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to stick to Japan and we're going to go to another brewery that I've never tried anything from before. Now, these guys are another relatively new addition to the Japanese beer scene, but they've built up a very good reputation for themselves over the last couple of years. I've had quite a few people telling me this is one of the breweries that I really need to check out, and from what I gather, these guys are doing some very nice adjuncted sour beers, and there's not too many breweries in Japan that are doing these kind of things. So this is quite exciting, and the Japanese beer scene has progressed a lot, specifically within the last kind of 5 years or so, I would say. But the beer we're going to have a look at today is a style that this brewery is supposed to do very, very well. It's got adjuncts in it that I have had in these kinds of beers before, and they can turn out to be very, very nice. But I've heard very good things about this one and very good things about the brewery. So needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review. And as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head south to the island of Kyushu, which is the southernmost of the four main Japanese islands. We are going to go to Kumamoto Prefecture, which is kind of in the southeastern part, if you can say that. Although probably you can say south, but we're going to go to a little place called Amakusa, which is on a little kind of peninsula. It's pretty rural actually, but that means that we're going to have a look at my first beer from Amakusa Sonar Beer. This one comes in at 6.6% ABV, sorry. It's called Veins of Leaves, and this one is a Momo Peach and hibiscus sour beer. So yeah, this should be pretty interesting. I've not had a peach and hibiscus sour beer in quite some time actually. But yeah, this is yet another beer that I picked up at the wonderful liquor shop Asahiya in Taishibashi Yamaichi here in Osaka, one of my regular haunts when I'm over in Japan. And this one was recommended to me by Rika, and she really loves her sour IPAs and her kind of kettle sour beer. So if she says it's good, there's a very good chance that it will be. So yeah, big thank you to her, and do make sure you check out their Facebook page in the video description below. A great beer shop, and one that I do recommend you check out if you find yourself here in Japan. But yeah, let's go on then and see what this beer is going to have in store for us. The Veins of Leaves from Amakusa Sonar Beer in Amakusa, Kumamoto, Kyushu here in Japan. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Amakusa Sonar Beer. This is the very first time I'm trying one of their beers, as I mentioned, but hopefully not the last. There's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated. And remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Japanese playlist along with a number of other things. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, but quite regularly these days. And do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very interesting things on the channel these days, even if I do say so myself. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then to tell you a wee bit about Amakusa Sonar Beer. So as I've mentioned to you already, these guys are based in Amakusa. Messed it up in the first line. These guys are based in Amakusa in Kumamoto Prefecture on the island of Kyushu in Japan, and the company was founded back in 2019 by Shinya Araki. So apparently he discovered Belgian beers, and he just loved the kind of complexity of the flavors and things that you could get out of these types of beer, and this led him to trying other types of craft beer, notably the American stuff. But he later learned that it was possible to brew beer on a small scale, and so he was very keen to try this for himself. Later on in 2013, he left Tokyo to return to Kumamoto to work on his parents' land. They were running a pesticide-free low-cut farm, and then over the next few years he actually started planning to found his own brewery. So in 2019 he underwent brewing training at Nichinan Beer Company in Miyazaki under Hashimoto, and he's also worked a lot on beer ideas with Takuya Kawamura, who's the owner of Bar Herringbone in Kumamoto, and he does a lot of contract brewing as well. He does have his own beer brand. which I think is called like phantom brewing or ghost brewing or something like that. But one of Shinya's goals was to focus on locality, so he began to cultivate hops in his parents' field, and he wanted to produce the first beer in Kumamoto that was made with all local ingredients. So he was granted bank loans and used crowdfunding to get the brewery started, and they were granted their brewing licenses in 2019. And then they started brewing in 2020. But one of the first beers that they produced was the Banpeiyu White, which proved to be very, very popular. And this helped put the brewery on the map a little bit. But over the years, the brewery's become very well known for its sour beers because Kumamoto, as a prefecture, is known for its fruits, including watermelon, strawberry, mango, dekopon, and also the Banpeiyu. But they also work a lot with other local producers, including the Nohara Farm and Agricultural Research School in Kumamoto City, and they're continuing to cultivate their own hops close to the brewery, and apparently they've been very successful with quite a few varieties, and they take pride in saying that they are the westernmost hop farm in Japan, because remember, Japan is a kind of like crescent moon shape, so the northern part is quite a bit further east than the southern part is when you look at it. But as of October 2024, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 135 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and like I said to you, they are very well known for their different sour beers, but they do quite a wide variety of different things actually. So yeah, from what I gather, this brewery is just pretty damn good, and a lot of people have been telling me that I need to check them out. But yeah, that is everything I can tell you about Amakusa Sonar Beer for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on and actually have a look at the beer itself. So I'll just wipe the sweat off this one. It seems to have been, I guess the fridge is just set a little bit too cool. I need to look at that. But yeah, you can see the artwork on this one is pretty straightforward. So there you can see veins of leaves. This looks like some of the microscope microscope slides that I've been working with my students recently actually. But yeah, there you can see plain silver top on the can there. This one is a 350 milliliter can, which is quite a common measurement in Japan, of course. But yeah, like I said earlier, this one comes in at 6% ABV, and it's a Momo peach. I don't know if the Momo is a slightly different variety of peach, but Momo is the Japanese word for peach. So it's a peach and hibiscus kettle sour, this one, from what I understand. So yeah, this should be really quite interesting. So yeah, not much else to show you in terms of the artwork with this one. It should be pretty good. So let's get it out into the glass and see what we have here. So let's do this. I have to admit, it's something that I'm quite impressed with regarding the Japanese beer scene, is that in my last few trips, it's been so easy for me to come across new breweries that I haven't tried anything from before, because over the years that's actually been quite difficult, because you know, the cold chain in Japan hasn't been the best, and of course they wanted to sell, a lot of these small companies only sell their stuff locally. There's a big focus on locality in Japan, so it's nice to see that the craft breweries are at least trying to get their beers to other places across Japan so that people can try them. So we're very, very happy about that. And it also shows you that there's more and more breweries opening up, which is very nice to see. But anyway, you can see that this beer poured with about a 2/3 finger of a frothy, I would have said kind of creamy coloured head there. That is fading away to be a nice kind of thinner foamy layer. But yeah, you can see that this one, it's got a lovely little bit of natural haze to it, actually. So yeah, you can see it's, to you guys, I think it actually looks a little bit like a kind of blood orange colour, but to the naked eye, it is really, really kind of a nice peachy colour. I'll bring it up to you guys and just let you see the colour of this beer is very, very nice. One or two bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass there, a few little ones going up toward the surface of the liquid there, and that has of course just faded away to be a very thin foamy layer, and you've got that thicker ring just around the edge of the glass there. But yeah, colour of this one is really nice, and you have got quite a little bit of haze to this one. Maybe there's a wee bit of wheat and oat in here as well, actually. I would maybe guess that if it's yeah, if it's got this level of haze. But yeah, remember the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. And when it comes to the kind of modern sour beers like this, yeah, that is going to play quite a bit of a role. So yeah, probably quite a bit of the colour that you're getting out of this one will be from the peaches. So that's absolutely worth bearing in mind here. But yeah, all in all, appearance wise, nothing unexpected, to be quite honest with you, other than the fact that it was a little bit more hazy. So maybe it is more of a kind of wheat beer, this one, rather than anything else. But I thought it was a Kettle sour. So yeah, there wasn't actually too much information in the Untappd about this one. It was just listed as like fruit sour on the Untappd profile. It didn't say anything about the malt base or anything like that. So maybe that's something that Amakusa Sonar Beer need to actually do, is get their take over their official profile and things on Untappd. So yeah, anyway. But all in all, the appearance of this beer is kind of what you would expect if you know it's a peach and hibiscus sour. So yeah, let's have a wee look at the aroma of this one and see what it's all about. I'm really curious about this. It smells pretty nice. Of course, you're getting the peach, the sharpness of the peach on the top of the nose. You're getting the hibiscus in the background there, but it's got a nice sort of soft and bready kind of vibe to this one, actually. So yeah, the way that this all goes together, I think, is really pretty nice. I'm really curious to see how this is going to taste actually as well. But yeah, let's just break down the aroma first, as we always do, and describe it a little bit more in depth for you. So yeah, for me, the backbone of this beer is that lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust. So you can smell that right the way through it. There's a little touch of woodiness in there. There's some nice crackery character as well. And yeah, there's quite a lot of like fluffy, kind of fresh white bready character coming out of it. I spilt a wee bit there. But yeah, you've got a lovely kind of fresh white bready character coming out of this one. It has got a wee bit of a kind of dense white bready character as well, and that makes me think there's wheat in here. But the hibiscus is of course giving you that little bit of an almost kind of spicy character to it as well. It's almost, I've always found hibiscus has this almost very slightly black peppery type quality, so I'm getting a wee bit of that out of this one, which is quite interesting. So yeah, you definitely have, as I say, that hibiscusy type quality just kind of mixed into it. And on top of that, yeah, you can smell that more, I think there is some wheat in this, you can smell that more dense white bready character, like a really smooth wheat, and it's got a wee bit of bitiness at the back of the nose as well, which I think is quite interesting. So yeah, definitely a little bit of that in there. There is a little tiny hint of like biscuit or Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of thing. There is a little bit of sweetness in the middle of the nose there too, which I wouldn't quite have expected from this one. But yeah, it does come across as if it's more of like a fruited wheat beer or something like this, I have to say. I don't know if there's much else we need to say about the malty backbone of this one. But yeah, in terms of the the yeasty side of things and the aroma, then for me it's quite the yeasty side of this beer, it's got a good little mix of like brown bready character and a good little bit of yeah, it's mostly white, a mix of white bread and brown bread. There's maybe a little bit of a kind of crackery or farmhousey type bread in this one, but yeah, the way that that goes together, I think is really quite nice as well. So it gets a thumbs up from me in that particular regard. Nice little bit of yeasty character in there, which in honesty you do want a little bit from these kind of sour beers. in a way. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to say about the malty and yeasty side of things with this one. So let's talk about the hoppy character and the adjuncts and things like that. So when it comes to sour beers, of course, it's interesting to ask the brewer what their hopping mentality is, because back in the day with the old school sort of Flanders Reds and Lambics, what they would do is add older hops to the beer, because they would have lost a little bit of their alpha acid potency and they didn't want the hoppy bitterness to suppress the sour flavours of the beer. These days, though, you do have a lot of modern sour beer brewers who are using fruits and things in there, and a lot of them say, well, if you put hops in these beers, the fruity adjuncts are going to suppress the hoppy character anyway, so what's the point in using it? That's a big argument when it comes to smoothie sours and things like this, whereas you have got some brewers that say, well, no, we want that complexity of flavour, so they'll add the hop in anyway. So yeah, it's always interesting to think about this when you're trying different sour beers. Going by the aroma of this one, I think there is a little bit of hop in this one. I think it smells a bit noble, like German noble hop. So yeah, you have got that little bit of earthiness in there. There's a wee bit of like woody, kind of herbally character as well. So yeah, lovely woody herbally sort of note. And yeah, there's a wee bit of floral aromaticity in there and some smooth kind of grassiness as well. So yeah, the way that all of that goes together in this particular beer, I think, is really quite nice. You've got that nice green component there. On the on the green component, I don't think there's too much else to say. But on the fruity side of things, yeah, the peach is very apparent in this one. And the peach, there's little hints of like sultana and apricot and stuff in there, which you're always going to get, especially if you use kind of noble hops. But yeah, the sharpness of the peach in this one is really quite kind of punchy, I would say. So that's worth bearing in mind when you are considering what's going on in this particular beer. But yeah, aroma-wise, this is really quite interesting. I say it's mainly big and bready, and then you've got that nice kind of hibiscusy type spicy character to it. So yeah, quite a straightforward beer, I would say, in terms of its aroma profile. But I think it's going to be quite interesting to try. So as I always say, take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of your beer before you get stuck into it. But yeah, I think it is about time for us to try this one now and just see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is the Veins of Leaves, a 6% fruited sour with peaches and hibiscus in it, from Amakusa Sonar Beer in Amakusa, Kumamoto, Kyushu in southern Japan. Let's get stuck in. Sláinte, skål, cheers, kanpai. Ooh, that's nice. That is very nice, actually. Really quite enjoyable. It's quite it's one of these beers that's it's not gonna like blow your mind or anything like that, but it's just really nicely done and nice to drink. So thumbs up to Amakusa Sonar Beer for this. Like every so often, you'll get a beer that you're like, oh, this is a bit of a change. It's just a bit of a change of pace to what you've been trying otherwise. And it has been a while since I've had something like this. I think this is more of it's more of a kind of wheat beer, this one, I think, just going by the sort of flavours it's given off. But yeah, one of these kind of fruity wheat beers. I've not had one of these in quite some time, actually, come to think of it. So yeah, in honesty, this is a really quite nice change of pace. So yeah, just going to say thumbs up to Amakusa Sonar Beer for this. I think this is great. But yeah, really very, very nicely done. Yeah, it kind of gives you everything you'd expect, but I'm pretty sure, just with the sort of the breadiness that I'm getting and things, I'm pretty sure this one is meant to be like just a kind of fruited wheat beer. I think it is like a hibiscus wheat, and though back in the day, I remember, what was it, about 2014, 2015, something like that, the hibiscus wheat beers were actually getting quite popular, in honesty. So yeah, interesting stuff. actually. Yeah, so cool to come back to something like this after quite a long time. But let's do as we always do. We'll break the flavour of the beer down and we'll describe it a bit more in depth for you. So middle third of your palate then. The backbone of the beer, you've got that lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there. That is forming the backbone of your beer. As you move further forward from that, I do get quite a little bit of woodiness further forward on that middle third of the palate. Then above that, you've got a wee bit of a kind of Jacob's cream cracker. So yeah, lovely Jacob's cream crackery note coming out of this one as well. Then on top of that, yeah, you've got this really nice mix of, you can feel like a lighter, fluffy sort of white bready layer above the cracker, and then you've got a more dense white bready sort of layer in there. And the bready character has just a little hint of like banana to it, and again that's what makes me think, yeah, it's a wheat beer, but the hibiscus flower notes just kind of sit on top of that more dense wheaty bready character that the beer has. So yeah, all in all, the way that that goes together on the malty side of things is quite nice. In the dead centre of your palate, you've got this little circle there. So you have this kind of Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotchy sort of note, which is quite interesting. That's obviously the boozy part of the beer. So yeah, you've got that little circle there where it's kind of Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch. And then as you move further out from that, it's got a little bit more of a kind of biscuity note to it. So yeah, that's interesting too. So yeah, lovely little bit of biscuity note in there, wee bit of Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotch. But yeah, the middle of your palate in this beer is pretty straightforward. Actually, into the aftertaste, you do get a little bit more kind of woodiness coming out of it. But I really don't think I need to say too much more about that. Let's go to the back third of the palate. And as I've often said in these reviews, sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. But yeah, for me, the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of kind of bready build up in there. You've got the brown bread in the base. You've got a little bit of like a brown bready character in the base, but then yeah, that fluffier white bread above it, and a wee bit of the more dense wheaty kind of character there. But yeah, the base of that back third of your palate, it's a bit more of a kind of brown bready bread crust that you get there. Then you get a kind of Jacob's cream crackery sort of note as well. So yeah, nice Jacob's cream crackery kind of character above that. Then there's a layer of like kind of sweeter, more grainy brown bread there. Then yeah, your fluffy, airy, white bready character, which I think is great. Then yeah, the more dense, that more dense wheaty sort of note coming out of the beer too. So all in all, the way that that goes together, I think is really, really nice. Yeah, so I think that covers. Then you can feel a little bit of the hibiscus sort of spiciness just creeping over the top on that back third of your palate as well. But yeah, above everything else on that back third of the palate, you do of course have the kind of yeasty character coming out of the beer. So for me, the yeasty side of this beer is actually like a kind of very sweet brown bready character in the middle. Then as you move further out from it, it's got a bit more of a kind of graininess, and then yeah, sort of almost crackery edge to it. So yeah, the yeasty side of this beer lingers into the aftertaste along with the bread crust from the malty side of things, and that's really nice. But yeah, definitely back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, for me, the yeah, there is a little touch of earthiness there in the green component, and as you move further forward, it's a little bit more kind of like woody, I would say. And then yeah, as you push further forward from that, the earthiness and the woodiness kind of stay there a wee bit, but then yeah, it gets a little bit more floral, and round the front curve of the tongue, it's a wee bit lighter and more grassy, but you can definitely feel the sort of fruitiness The peach just kind of pushing that back a little bit. But yeah, let's go to the front third of your palate then, just to kind of round off the flavour section of the video. So yeah, border region between front third and middle third of your palate. Again, you get that little bit of bready build up in there. You can feel the kind of, a little touch of that brown bread in the base, which isn't so detectable in the actual thirds of the palate in a way. But yeah, you've got a little bit of brown bread there, the fluffier white bread, and the more dense wheaty note there. But then yeah, the base of the front third of your palate is again the sort of bread crust, the cracker, the fluffier white bread, and then the smoother wheat in there. And then, yeah, above that, you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll the way out of the beer from the hops. There is a little bit of, like, you know, sultana, sort of apricot-y pear type flavours in there. More sultana and pear, to be honest with you. But then, yeah, the peach kind of sits on top of that, so you get a bit of an impact flavour from the peach in there. So yeah, you do get that nice, yeah, you do get that nice kind of sharp peachy sort of character coming out of it. So yeah, the peach in the beginning, it is that little bit sharper, but then it just mellows out, but it does give you this kind of lingering sort of punch to the beer, which is quite interesting. So yeah, I don't know if that's specific to the Japanese Momo peaches, because Japanese peaches, they do, or Japanese fruits generally speaking, I think they have got a little bit more almost zip to them in a way in comparison with other places. So, you know, unique volcanic soil, of course, a lot of the time. But yeah, the peaches that are in this one aren't quite as, I don't know if, not to say they're not juicy maybe is a little bit disingenuous. It's more just they have a little bit of a stronger sharpness to them almost. So yeah, saying they've got a bit more zip to them is probably a good, yeah, that probably is a good way to describe it actually. So yeah, interesting stuff for sure. I don't know if there's anything else we really need to say about the flavour of this beer, but yeah, the hibiscus lingers there, the nice bready character lingers there as well. But yeah, it is a really lovely beer, this one, I have to say. I have enjoyed it, and I've not had something like this in quite some time, so thumbs up to Amakusa Sonar Beer for this. But yeah, let's just round off this review then with a wee quick look at the mouthfeel. So for me, I would say that this beer is quite, I'd say it's kind of mid-bodied, maybe leaning toward the bottom end of mid-bodied. The carbonation does have a good degree of smoothness to it. You've got a lovely sort of cleanliness to the beer actually. So a bit of smoothness in there, lovely kind of cleanliness to the beer. But yeah, a wee bit of dryness and sort of spice into the aftertaste, of course. So yeah, the malt base, as we said, it's a bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle, and there's a very slight touch of sweetness on top, but then yeah, you've got that spiciness that pushes its way out too. The IBU count on this beer is probably about, you know, 10 or 15 or something like that. Very, very low, so it's not going to blow the head off you in terms of bitterness. You do get a little bit of sharpness out of the peach when you first take it in, but yeah, that kind of mellows out and leaves you a sort of soft juiciness. But yeah, I think this is probably, I do get the feeling that this is like a wheat beer rather than anything else. So yeah, really interesting introduction to Amakusa Sonar Beer actually. So we need to keep an eye on what else appears from these guys over the next wee while, because they have kind of got my curiosity now that I've had this one and had something pretty solid from them that I've not had in years. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this review. So this was the Veins of Leaves, a 6% wheat beer with Japanese Momo peaches and hibiscus flowers from the wonderful Amakusa Sonar Beer in Amakusa, Kumamoto, Kyushu, Southern Japan. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Amakusa Sonar Beer are as well. And we will no doubt return to these guys again at some point in the fairly near future. Always cool to introduce new Japanese breweries to you here on Rampant Lion Reviews. So yeah, check out my social media, check out their social media, try some Japanese craft beers, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Sláinte, skål, cheers, and kanpai.